once again, yes, as if I would ever stop doing videos about Star Trek. It's not gonna happen. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and for this video, we're doing a video on another episode, going from the very beginning to the very end of the Star Trek original show. And that is, the next video is the episode called What Are Little Girls Made Of? I believe it was written by Robert Bloch and directed by James Goldstone. But you can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section. Believe me, I am not afraid, ever afraid of being corrected. Or maybe, let's say James Goldstone. I hope I said James Goldstone. But again, I could be wrong. So what are little girls made of? Well, the Enterprise is now traveling along to another planet where they're going to be meeting up with a scientist called Roger Korby, who has a very romantic connection to the nurse, Chapel, on the Enterprise. They were once very romantically involved together, so they're going down to this planet, and the reason why they're going down is because Roger Korby says he has a discovery that's really important, and he wants to also see, of course, he also wants to see Nurse Chapel. And then Captain Kirk, Nurse Chapel, and a couple of red shirt guards go down to the planet, and one guard dies pretty damn quickly. Yeah, those poor red shirters in this one, those poor red shirters. Truth is, though, it's actually a stereotype that the red shirters died more than any other people died, probably in Star Trek. Actually, all things considered, quite a lot of people in different color shirts in the original series did die. It just feels like it's more red shirters who die. I'm sorry, red shirters who die because they were usually the security side of the Enterprise and of Starfleet. So, and the Federation. So now we got that out of the way, that fun little bit of trivia. Okay, so when it comes to this, okay, so they go down to the planet, and then turns out Roger Korby has discovered another form, or created another form of android that is so lifelike, it is literally almost impossible to see any physical outward difference between them and the human that they've replicated. And when Roger Korby first sees Nurse Chapel, they have a very passionate and romantic embrace. That's what I liked about the original Star Trek. It was not afraid to show emotion between people, and I liked that a lot. I really, really, really did. Okay, so with this episode, unfortunately things are not as they seem. It's like, wait a minute, this new form of android, Captain Kirk is naturally suspicious of this. And Roger Korby knew that he would be. That he knew that the findings they had down there on that planet would probably not be that comfortable for Starfleet Enterprise and Starfleet, the entire Federation, to be comfortable with. That's why he tricked had the Captain come down without telling him what he was coming down for, because he wanted to introduce this new idea gradually and then also immerse the android into society, and hopefully that it would eventually people would become more comfortable with the idea. But as it always happens when people try and play God, yeah, it snowballs on him, and it turns out Roger Korby is not everything we thought he was. And as, again, with men trying to play God, it ends with him ultimately losing absolutely everything, even his own life. In a way I will not spoil, just in case you have not seen the episode. But that's the overall concept of this story. Now, when it comes to this story, I feel like this story is actually one of the most influential stories, probably. I mean, Star Trek is very influential of sci-fi in general, especially the original series. The original series, unless you are a hardcore Star Trek fan, I think it does not get enough credit for how much it really did change the scope of science fiction, or really did augment and really set the groundwork for all that science fiction could be. But it definitely did. Not only did science fiction, but Star Trek also influenced culture to a significant degree. But I feel it's also with what are little girls made of? Because the idea of this is a person making an android to the point where he loses his own humanity ultimately in the end and loses everything. Has very Frankenstein qualities to it. But the idea of what are little girls made of, you'll see crop up in science fiction everywhere. The idea of androids being completely lifelike and replacing the humans and doing things or altering the human condition. I wonder if maybe it's What Are Little Girls Made Of that sparked that. But if it was What Are Little Girls Made Of, if that was the story that really just sparked everything into gear when it came to the idea of the android, to a point where it's leading to the android taking over, to the point where it can overcome the human itself, or it can eventually intimidate the human species, worried about the androids taking over for them. Yeah, this was a pretty influential story, I could gather. And even though this starts out with just a couple of androids in this one situation, we see how the androids themselves, when they malfunction, they malfunction. When things go wrong, things go wrong. And they can easily overpower and dominate the human species, and ultimately lead to the undoing of the human species due to its own concept of being superior and being perfect for what it is. And humans putting so much value in the android without seeing the negative aspects that could come from the android being allowed too much immersion into culture. All that could have been happened from What Are Little Girls Made Of. Now, when it comes from my overall concept with this story, again, a lot of the actors did a fantastic job with this story, but for some reason, there's something about this story that I will never be that crazy about. But it's not the story itself. I think the story itself is very good. The actors they got were perfectly great. The guy who played Roger Corby and the android who played the female was great. She was gorgeous but very good at just having this coldness to her. And the actor who played the android, the super large one, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure that guy has done lots of Hollywood somewhere because they need that creepy tall guy. For all I know, he probably did Addams Family at some point. Who knows? Again, very good job. Captain Kirk did a very good job. Nurse Chapel did a very good job. All the actors did a very good job with this one. It's just simply that I think there's something about the way it was done. Like, not the story. The story is good. The actors are good. But there's something about the presentation, the production of it, the look of it. There's something about the look of it I'm not that crazy about. I don't know what it is, and I feel bad saying that. But, because, you know, I hate criticizing something and not giving you guys strong reasons or completely concrete, direct reasons for why I don't like something. But there's just something about the look of this. I just wish it looked different. I wish the color palette somehow was different. I wish some of the costume might have been a little bit different. The look and the direction, it probably all boils down to production value and what could they afford to do. They probably did a good job for what they had in the budget. But I just feel like with more money behind it, it probably would have been very much visually more incredible to look at. But the story itself, perfectly fine. It's just a production value that just holds a little down for me. But that's really about it. Other than that, this is a strong idea in every way, shape, or form. And if you hear music playing in the background, that's my niece in the shower. Yeah, you guys know me. I just tell it like it is. Because I'm like, why lie to people? Why lie to people? Because you guys know my life. You know how I am. I have a hard time, you know, separating my YouTube channel from my real life everyday situations. That's just the life of me. What can you do? So that's my video on What Are Little Girls Made Of. And a fun fact I heard, I got there a little more fun facts about Star Trek, or the original show of Star Trek. But I realized maybe I should save those stories. I was going to tell you a story, but I realized maybe I should save those stories for when the video is on an episode that has to do with that story. But yeah, I've got some other things I really do want to talk about, and I'm really excited to talk about. But yes, this is my video on What Are Little Girls Made Of. As you know, the next one will be on the next Star Trek story. I believe the next one should be Miri. Yes, that will be very fun. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Have you seen What Are Little Girls Made Of? Have you not? If you have or have not, let me know in the comment section. And if you loved everything that is Star Trek, nice talking to you. Bye, guys.